Hello and welcome to our Games Radar preview of PES 2017. My name is James and I'm here with Ben Wilson, and we have both been hands-on with the game. That's right, isn't it, Ben?
Yes, that is right, and we both enjoyed it a lot, I think.
We did. We got a couple of hours with the new build of the game and got to play a variety of different teams, which you can see on screen now. We had France, Germany, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid to try out. What was your overall feeling of those teams?
Really enjoyed it. Barcelona, obviously, quite highly powered because they've got a tie-in with Konami this year. So you get all the player faces, you get realistic like running motions and things like that, and you get the Camp Nou exclusive to PES this year. It's not in FIFA, which is quite controversial. And we both had quite a lot of success with Germany. Germany, a good, well-rounded team, some individual skill, bit of pace down the flanks, and obviously some really strong forward play as well. So Germany, the international team to watch, I would say.
Yeah, lots of strong players, which helps with PES's new sort of animation model, and everything's very physical now. So there's a lot more holding off the ball. There's a lot more bouncing off players when you're running onto through balls and things that normally in FIFA and previous PESs you'd always expect the defenders to win that battle. But nowadays the attackers can actually slip in and make the run that you'd expect them to in real life.
Yeah, it's got a really good sense of if you play it up to like a strong forward player, like, you know, France have got Giroud. I had some success sort of holding you off, and, you know, it's the same with Germany. Less so with, Atletico Madrid are in the game, and you can do that with Fernando Torres. Obviously with Barca, you can't really play that same style. But yeah, a good mix between the four teams, a good sense of what's coming from this year's game.
So what else did we see that was new? You're very excited about a new feature allowing you to, I was going to say kick the ball in the goal, but it's kick the ball in the goal again.
It is. Again, for the second time, it's like super bouncy. I hate the word bounce, but it really is proper bounce against a friend. I think I did it to you once and you got a little annoyed. You did it to me once, I got a little annoyed. Essentially, you score a goal, the ball comes back out, you run up to it, and if you get close enough, it just punts the ball back into the net for you. It's like the ultimate unlucky pal, you know, kind of two fingers up at your mate style deal.
Yeah, so there's that in the game. There's also another new feature where you can take your shirt off if you score. I think it's more like a crucial goal or something, like it's like if you're in the final. So I did it with Neymar and kick the ball in the goal, and you get an option to click R3, and then he can like just whip his shirt off and run towards the crowd. You do get a yellow card. It does give you a warning before you're doing it, but that's a nice new feature in there. Something big this year is the option file.
Yeah, you're going to be able to, this year finally, instead of importing kits individually, you're going to be able to import them as one file, obviously, as used to happen in the PS2 and PS3 days of PES. So that is a good feature to be brought back, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Really good addition. So on to how the game actually plays. How did you feel the passing and the striking and the running off the ball and that kind of stuff was in it?
Well, we have a bit of debate about this because I found it quite crisp and I would say incisive, obviously, particularly if you're playing as Barcelona, because they've got players whose every stat is a strong passing stat. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I felt I was able to sort of recycle possession with speed and accuracy, but also at the right time I felt I was able to play some sort of deadly through balls in for my strikers and also into sort of wingers rushing in behind the fullbacks. But you've got a bit of debate about this, don't you, James?
What? No, I agree with you. I thought it was quite crisp, and most of the time the ball would go where you wanted or where you would expect it to go if you pressed X to pass to that man at the pitch. But occasionally, and I guess like in real football, and definitely like in all of the previous games in PES and FIFA, that sometimes those passes go a bit wayward and you end up being like, why did you pass it to that man when I definitely wanted to pass it to that man on the wing? That might have just been, you know, a thing in the build we were playing. We are only playing a preview build. It's not fully finished yet, but I thought that is still in there, the bit where you're like,
it's difficult because you need a degree of error, you know, in both PES and FIFA. Of course you want every pass to go exactly where you're pinpointing it, but in terms of player attributes and in terms of just a degree of, you know, random error, I think for it to be realistic you do have to have some misplaced passes in there. Equally, I appreciate that then is very frustrating if, you know, the game decides to misplace a pass on your behalf and then the opposition scores as a result of it, which actually happened, James. I believe I scored from a ridiculous distance where one of your defenders as Germany passed to a midfielder or made a tackle and it didn't quite go to the midfielder, and because I was anticipating the pass coming to your man, I held down the square button to make a tackle, and instead of making the tackle, the ball rolled to Pogba. He shot from a ridiculous distance.
It was so far out.
It was crazy.
It was like near the halfway line.
And it flew into the bottom corner. And yeah, I think you know that was like a very fortunate occurrence, but at the same time it did show that in previous sort of FIFAs and PES it's been hard to score from distance. In this year you can score from distance by accident, so I think that's a good thing. What did you think of the shooting generally?
I thought it was really good, and definitely an improvement. Like, you could sort of curve the ball. Like, free kicks I thought were brilliant. Like, you can actually direct them a bit more now. Same with corners, you know sort of where they're going and know who to aim for. It makes it a lot more fluid. I mean, we scored a lot of goals for something that we just had like a first or second hands-on time with. There was a lot of goals. It wasn't just like boring 0-0 draws. Whether that's just down to the keepers or us being brilliant, I don't know, but the shooting definitely felt better.
We should say the keepers, though, are much better as well. I think that, the goals we scored, they weren't your typical PES goals of, like, you shoot straight down the middle of the goal, the keeper spills it in front of him and you tap in the rebound. We scored good goals in the if I say so myself, well-worked moves with shots into the bottom corners, top corners, sort of drawing the keeper, curling it round them. I didn't feel, in all the goals I conceded throughout the day, I didn't sort of sit there wanting to chuck my controller at the screen because the keeper had made a gaff.
And obviously tied up in all of this is the animations that you get with all the different players. Now, this year, it seems like more than ever, you can definitely identify players individually by the way that they just move on the pitch.
Yeah, it's a hard thing for us to speak about when you can see it here in the videos of the way sort of Messi moves or Neymar moves. It's a hard thing to put into words, but one of the key flaws, I think, with FIFA over the years is even as it's improved on the leap between generations from PS3 and Xbox 360 to PS4 and Xbox One, is although they've got the faces right, the feel of the players, there's no sort of uniqueness to them. Whereas if you go back to the classic PESs of the PS2, players like Zidane and Henry, they actually felt, not just looked, but felt like their real counterparts. And I think that's something that PES is doing really well this year.
Yeah, and well, speaking of player faces, we've also got on the channel a side-by-side comparison, so you can see the in-game models compared to the ones in the game, and they honestly look almost photorealist. Like, you can hardly tell the difference now. It's got to that stage. Obviously, PES is using Fox Engine now, which does mean the players look brilliant, and it gives them that sense of motion that we just talked about. There is a lot of motion blur on some of the replays, which you'll find. I think that's probably because of the Fox Engine. It doesn't take anything away. It's just something that I looked at it and went, oh, there's a lot of motion blur on this replay.
Yeah, it doesn't quite look like a sort of Sky Sports or Match of the Day broadcast, but at the same time, I think the gameplay's that good that, and I don't mean this in a rude way to yourself, James, but you sort of, when I was like scoring and winning, I wasn't sat there thinking, oh, but the motion blur is really annoying. Like, it's one of those things that I think people will get used to very swiftly and may yet be upgraded between now and the release.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to what everyone wants to know. I haven't played this year's FIFA, but you have. So in comparison to FIFA versus PES this year, where are we at?
I think PES at the moment is the hot favourite, and I should say that I'm not a PES fanboy. I've actually, if you dig out any of my reviews on the internet, I've leaned towards FIFA for many years now, so it sort of feels a bit alien to say that, but I think PES is definitely the more immediate game this year. You can pick it up and immediately feel at ease with the passing and the shooting and the tackling. Of course, the challenge for PES will be is that if it's that immediate, in 2 months' time, is it going to feel stale? Is there going to be variation in there? With FIFA, from what I've played, it's not as immediate. The things they're doing with aerial challenges where you don't necessarily go up for a header, you can actually hold players off and try and bring the ball down with your feet or your chest. Elements like that mean that FIFA maybe doesn't have the pick up and play value initially of previous years, but perhaps in 2-3 months' time, that will be the game that has the longevity. So at the moment, most excited about PES, but I think it's going to be a really good season for both games, so I think it's a really exciting time for football gaming.
Awesome. Well, that's our PES 2017 preview. It's out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC and 360 if you've still got one of those, and PC on September the 13th. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned to Games Radar for more gaming news, reviews, previews, and features right here on the channel.